A galactic historian is a person that looks at all the lines of dramatic karma. A galactic historian goes to each and every line of dramatic karma and lives in soul family with everyone, so they see the big picture of all of the karma that's going on in a local part of the universe. The infrastructure of potential was there. You still had to connect the dots and use a series of free will expressions to get you there. There are also a number of people, the karmic doors closed them off to so much, all that was left was this galactic historian guy on the internet. People who listened to the Galactic History 1 and within a year went back to sleep because the world turned to be really shitty and no one woke up. None of the predictions happened. I understood as a higher soul that being in this time with the perceptive nature of the human, I could be attracting people to the
Hello everyone, and welcome to this week's Talking Stick Show. So things are about to get a bit saucy. Ha, ha, ha. This show we're going to be talking about the Great Spirit. So we have two of our guests we had on last week back with us. We have the lovely Debbie Smart. Hello, Debbie.
Hi, everybody. It's really wonderful to be back again and see you all connect.
And great to see you. And Debbie is now on full video this time. So all of her video gremlins have hopefully disappeared this week. And so we have Asan. Hello, Asan. Welcome back to the show, brother.
Greetings. Thank you for having me back. Happy to be here. And yes, Debbie, you got rid of yours, but I got them now. So my video is not on today.
Good to see you. And we have this week joining us a regular. So we have Amy Kruzek.
Hello,
Amy.
Hi, everybody. Happy 2025. Glad to be back.
Good to see you. And we have the one and only, the Miss Laura Massey. Hello, Laura.
Hi, Dale. Hi, guys. Really good to be back.
Good to see you. And I am your host, Dale Tobin. So let us begin. So we're going to be talking about the Great Spirit. So there is an infinite amount of topics to be had here. Ha, ha, ha. I said this joke before. So, Debbie, I'm going to pass the stick over to you. So what I'm going to do is not ask a question here, but I'm just going to let you speak the first thing what comes up for you when you think of Great Spirit.
What comes up for me really right now is, what's happening on the stage of the world. There's so much happening, but everything is, I feel, is really on purpose and on course, because, even though there looks like it's a lot of chaos, people are being woken up and they're actually seeing the behind the scenes of all the propaganda and all the narratives and everything. And they're starting to wake up to truth and also to non-truth. And so people are now in a position, as well as all of us, to make choices about how we're going to move forward from here. And so I just feel that, everything is pretty well right on course for us. And that's why we're here, being grounded and holding a space for people to find their way. And if, that's what everybody's here basically with different modalities and different perspectives that can elevate you to the next level and help people just get through their traumas and through their pain and be able to come and see the other side. And we can all now starting to see the light at the end of the tunnel. So that's what I have to say right now.
Beautiful. Thank you, Debbie. Same question for you, Asan. Well, not a question, but just the first thing what comes to you when you think of it.
Thank you. Well, great spirit, just as a combination of words and a language, is so perfect. The meanings might be different, but the acknowledgement of the spirit that is so common that in different cultures, people do acknowledge the spirit, whichever way they define it. But there's no debate in the meaning of the greatness of the words. Most acknowledge that there's some kind of creation, so there's a great spirit that is connected to that creation. And to me, what comes to mind is that we are great spirit. We are the children, and our memories of that are with us, and we too carry that inner flame.
Beautiful words, brother. Amy?
Yeah, ditto to those two. It also means to me, the word that came to me was like vastness. And you can feel that vastness, and you can also intertwine great spirit with creator or divine energy. You can use it in, whatever way that feels best for you. But I also see great spirit as a guide to our highest potential. Like that's what it feels like for me, that great spirit is there for me to call upon when needed. And if we pay attention to the natural world, which seems to take care of itself, and push that into our inward world, then things can feel calm and comforting, just like the natural world. It's like a as above, so below kind of thing. Yeah.
Beautiful, Amy. Thank you. Laura?
Oh.
Laura, the mute Massey.
Whoops. Schoolgirl error there, sorry. Okay, so everybody has their own experience of Great Spirit, don't they? Their own perception, their own perspective. So for me, with all the sort of shamanic training, not just that, but how I feel in my heart about it, is we know that Great Spirit works through Great Mystery. And Great Spirits is that unseen world that I trust, that I co-create with, that I work with. When I go and do my ceremony and so on, I'm working with Great Spirit. And I think Amy almost said it's like a comfort blanket too. And it's something that is like a hub of interconnectivity between your higher self and past, present, and future. I mean, it's the all of the all, isn't it? It is something that's there for you to connect to, that connects you through the dream weave, through whatever way, to everything. And it's just so unbelievably magnificent. How do you explain it? It's a bit like Great Mystery is Great Mystery because it's a mystery. And as Andrew says, will never be solved. And Great Spirit is like that. But for me, Great Spirit carries the essence of Great Mystery to help us manifest as two-leggeds on earth what we need to manifest. It's what we all work with in the unseen world. Ultimately, we're working with Great Spirit. And what a beautiful, what a gift. I mean, it's just absolutely everything. It's unconditional love, it's forgiveness, it's all those wonderful things that are there for us to tap into.
Thank you, Laura. Beautiful. So my understanding of Great Spirit, so I'm going to first talk about the role of a grandfather. So for me, a true role of a grandfather, it doesn't matter if you're a lady because you still have the grandfatherness inside you. So the role of a grandfather is to push on and start learning about the teachings of Great Spirit and seeing Great Spirit from your point of view. So everyone has a role if they do want to step up into being a grandfather as a responsibility of being a teacher. So when you start teaching and seeing Great Spirit and teaching people Great Spirit from your perceptions and your perspective, that's for me the best way of explaining Great Spirit, because the true grandfather is a teaching role. The grandmother is the loving, the birthing role. So we're all here as grandfather teachers showing our expressions of Great Spirit, what we've learned from Great Spirit, what Great Spirit is guiding to us and what it means to us on a personal, individual level. Because That's a uniqueness of Great Spirit. For every single one, they have a unique coded experience. Everyone's experience of Great Spirit is vastly different than another person's. And that's the beauty of having to listen to people and listen to their way they see spirit, because that's one of the most potent, powerful things we can do, is listen to someone's expression and story about Great Spirit, because it might show us something we have not been aware about from our perspective and experience of Great Spirit. So for me, it's all about being in the moment, and Great Spirit is a heart awareness in ever expansion. So the Great Spirit is ever evolving through our own heart awareness. And for me, connecting to the Great Spirit is when I speak from my heart center, because as soon as I'm in that heart center, like Laura said, that hub of interconnectivity, I can speak from the Great Spirit's eye, and I can understand that there's a neutrality and love to be held within from the heart. And this is what Andrew and we've all talked about years after years. Debbie, Amy, Hassan, is speaking from the heart is one of the best ways to learn what Great Spirit is about. Even though there's an infinite amount of information out there, we're doing the best we can to pass on the eldership of the message of how we see it. So for me, it's about what's in the moment, what I've learned on the day, and every year I change my understanding of it, because I'm a different person. One year I'll see it in a different way. The next year I'll see it the other way. Then I'll look back at that guy talking about Great Spirit. I'm like, I don't believe that anymore. So it's fun, and this is the true ancestral roles we have here, is to step into being the grandfather, the grandmother, but making it known, our research and our responsibility, that we have to share the message of how we perceive Great Spirit, because people out there do have no understanding. It's like churches, religion, and the beauty you can see in that. There's an actual stance of showing what God is and trying to help people find God. So I do believe we all have a responsibility in some way, shape, or form to live in the moment of being in the heart, and that's the best way we can express from Great Spirit's perceptions. Does anybody want to add anything there?
Yeah, just to piggyback on what you're saying, it's an essence. I don't know whether we'll call it a force, really, but it's something that moves through us. So it's like one of the universe's tools, I think, for getting us to help us evolve, isn't it? To help learn those great lessons of life. And it's something that all indigenous have a form of great mystery and Great Spirit. They might not use those words, but it's that unwavering essence of unconditional love that actually is an energy that moves through us continually, helping us on our journey.
Beautiful. And going back to what you were saying, Debbie, let's bring you in here, is because you talked about truth. So what is a truth? And for an individual level and layer, what is a truth? What does a truth mean?
A truth to me means speaking from the heart and being authentic about what you're saying and what you're teaching. And it's definitely a connection and with spirit as well. I just find that, in hard times that people have, they turn to spirit as well as a comfort, because we all know that spirit is there working through us all. And a lot of people, sometimes when they get lost, they don't realize how to connect back to that essence. And so there's so many people now that they're stepping up and stepping forward because they have that great connection and they have the understanding of being able to, direct people back to spirit. And there is great comfort, like what you're saying, Dale, and about being connected, and everything flows through from spirit. So wherever we look, we can see spirit in action, just even in nature and in our lives, and connecting to that. And I know that in our healing work and our modalities that we work with, we're totally connecting to spirit, and spirit's working through us. It's not us. We're just like a vessel that we open up and allow spirit to come through, and that's what helps guide and help people as well. Yeah. So.
Thank you for that, Debbie. And Amy, I want to bring you in here because your journey's changed so much, and from having you on the Talking Stick show all those years back to how you are now, and just the confidence and the change in you. Do you want to talk a little bit about what what helped you go into that kind of trust zone with yourself, because you have elevated yourself over the last few years a lot, and it's great to see it.
Yeah. Ooh. I think it.
What's your magic? What's your remedy,
I
Amy? How do you do
I
it?
know. If only you were in my head. It's a beautiful process, because I think it takes a lot of people and support of knowing these people, because when I started, uh, even before with you guys, I was working with a mentorship in metaphysical, and so he supported me, right? And then he helped me with all of this, and then to now. So isn't it like a it's almost like this support link that you have, and but it also takes it, and people can support you, and people can say you can do it, you can do it, but it really honestly it's here that you really almost have to talk yourself and push yourself and just go with it. My thing was, "Oh, I'm going to say something stupid," or I have to act proper when I'm on here, or I have to act a certain way, and those were all just voices in my head. Nobody said that. Nobody said anything. It was just Amy. And I heard this from David many times. Just be Amy. Just be Amy. Just be Amy. And you guys, just be Amy. Okay. Well, guess what? She was a little lost because I lost Amy. you know, and so that's just. I think it's just learning the process. Like, force yourself to, when you hear that little great spirit through someone else, that's when aha, that's when it clicks, and it's like, I get it now. Just go with it. Just see what happens, because that's the mystery, right? You don't know what's going to happen. And so I just encourage people to just take a little, even if it's a baby step, just take a baby step, because you have all these thoughts that this is going to happen, that's going to happen. Oh my God, they're not going to like me. Oh, my confidence. Look how she talks. Look how he talks. I don't know. So that's the simplest way that I can explain it. But I think a lot has to do with your personality, and what is that personality. Like, I used to write down my personality, and it's changed. Like you said, it's changed over the years. So even knowing your personality, and digging underneath that, and dig underneath that, and dig underneath that, because there's your true personality. There's what you came here to do. So yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Judy.
you, Amy. And
I see.
yeah, thanks, Judy, for that comment. I like that. Go, Amy. Woo-hoo. So, Asan, what has it been like for you? So, is there any advice you can give to listeners out there who are fairly new to the path, or maybe on the path and keep falling off the path, coming back on? Just some words of advice about connecting to the Great Spirit, because for me, spirit and connecting to Great Spirit, connecting to my ancestors, has been the way I can start working on some of my loneliness and understanding that I am everything. I am spirit, and I have spirit within inside me. So what is it like for you on that journey, and some advice you can give to those listeners out there?
Yes, well, beautifully said, Amy. That was wonderful and well
Thank
put
you.
here. Very inspirational, I think, for a lot of people out there. And as far as the journey, I think we've all heard we are greater than we've read, heard, or studied before. And that takes on a different meaning when you take on the journey. And that's the beautiful thing about taking on the journey, as you mentioned, Laura, is there is so much love and so much value in taking on the journey. I think a lot of us, me personally, at the beginning of the journey, there is a bit of a quest and wanting to know what is this greater thing that we are connected to, and wanting to have our own answers. But the journey really becomes the treasure, and taking on that journey to be the friend to all friends, to be the peacemaker. Everything in creation has a point of view, and we are giving a very limited version of the way our reality works and why our lives are constructed the way that they are. So when we forget all of these things, it's really easy to not connect to who we are and where we are. And the beautiful thing about the spiritual journey is that it will point you right back out to where we are. It will get you right back to nature. Have you heard some tribes and observe some animals? Journaling your experiencing, really meditating and seeing what happens to you. The next day, you might be looking up videos of whales in a different part of the world. And that might greatly advance your journey without you knowing it. You might learn some things about their communication systems or a different ecosystem in a different part of the world that you never thought of. But that just engages your learning, your knowingness, and it just makes you want to have more faith because you just invest more in the trust bank there. So just staying on the journey is important, whichever way you do it. As Amy, you were saying earlier, there is no way, no specific way to be on the journey. I think one of the greater detrimental that the spiritual community does to its own people at times is project this image that you have to stop living in order to be on the journey. And I have to admit, at times I wasn't the greatest at that, at really not being the most social that I could have been, and not recognizing the value of communities like these here. But essentially, the journey, there is definitely a solo journey, but you don't have to take on this image of being Buddha or being out, cut off from the world. Those days are gone. We no longer need to be in mountains and in caverns to stay on the journey. So falling on and falling off, as you were saying there, that's part of the journey. And the minute you gain that sacred neutral point of view, every time you fall on and you fall off, you're going to gain a greater perspective of what happened to you, and that's going to advance your journey even greater. There's a lot to be said about staying on the journey and great spirit. It took me a long time to really understanding that concept of what great spirit means and how close of that connection we have to great spirit. But the journey definitely is the treasure for sure.
And that's it. And just something to add there as well, great
Yeah.
words, Hassan, is one of the best ways I found was accepting character flaws and mistakes without guilt, without blame, without shame, realizing everyone has a shadow, everyone has dickhead parts of themselves, but having fun with it and just continuing marching on. And the wolf is like a huge one for me because the wolf symbolizes not giving up on yourself. And I always remember that when I had hard times. Is today I just got to keep going for myself. And we will find those days of hardship where we'll feel alone, we'll cry, we won't feel connected to spirit. But sometimes that means that there's an emotional imbalance in us going on. And sometimes we do need to cry, because one of the best ways to start releasing and feeling the inner emotion, the inner water, and the connection to spirit is crying. And a lot of people have dysfunction through personality or trauma they've gone through, or some sort of hardness they've created where they literally block spirit from working through them. So, and that's something that's happened with me before, where I didn't cry as much, but now I can cry quite easily. But when those tears come up, I just know that the spirit's working through me and moving through me, bringing ancestral balancing, because at times we have those ancestral healing tears which come through us, which is the soul remembering something, which is sparked an emotion which flows through us. And connecting more to that would be prayer. Prayer is one of the most important ways to regularly to connect to spirit, reminding yourself you are spirit. And like Debbie says, spirit's working through you at all times. And it's about how you can connect to that locomotion of infinite flow flowing through you at all times. Even though at times it is quite hard, because you need a lot of energy and you have a lot of high frequency when you start speaking from the heart and going into different prayer notes and so on. So yeah, really, really cool conversation and topic, because we can go anywhere with this. Where do we want to go to next?
Yeah.
Laura, do you want to come in? Or Amy, go
Well,
ahead.
no,
Go ahead, Amy.
go ahead, Laura. Do you have something? I was just
No,
gonna.
I'll go after you.
Okay.
It's fine.
I was just thinking as you were talking, I was like, what is the common thread from the time we've been here to the time now, that keeps us in that that great spirit energy? Even though I only knew great spirit existed with Andrew, really, I didn't know the shaman ways, but I knew that I did them back as a child and through the years and decades. So, I was thinking, what is that common thread? And for me, I think it is my foundation of religion that I grew up with, the Catholic religion, because that was my foundation. And that's what I picked up on. Even though I can't quote a Bible verse or nothing, it was totally different for me. And that's why Great Spirit felt so comfortable with me, because it was like, I get it. I know what this is. So I don't vacillate between God and and Great Spirit, because I think that that was one for me, if that makes sense. So the
Yes.
common thread, I don't know, that would just be a question to ask, you know.
The
From
common
your-
thread is Great Spirit, isn't it?
Yeah.
whatever name you want to call it. It is
And if
the
the-
energy of Great Spirit.
Yeah, but it was funny because at the time I'm not realizing that until it's like,
Yeah.
oh, that's it. And then it's like, okay, well, if you hold the thread tight, right, there's no bounce in the thread, is there? There's no learning curves, there's no growth, there's no anything. So it's always like you just want to shake the thread and make it move so that you don't stay static with
Yeah.
Great Spirit, because there is always growth every day. Every time you walk out your door, you see it.
I think Great Spirit's continually asking us to dance with it, continually asking us to co-create. And it's about the level of trust we have and belief. So can we let go that control of our everyday lives to actually let go, embrace great mystery, Great Spirit, allow it to flow through us, as we've all been saying. As Debbie said earlier, Great Spirit works through us. So can we let go? Can we stop pushing the river? And just like in the background here, if everyone can see it, for me, yes, that's the wind playing with the grasses, but that's Great Spirit moving. It moves through us. And can we allow ourselves just to let go enough that we can co-create a good life, with great spirit, allowing Great Spirit to work wonders with us. And there's a great deal of trust that's required to do that. But it's a beautiful thing when you do. But of course, we all have times where we just can't, we feel like we're not connecting, and Great Spirit's always there with a little nudge. In whatever form it comes, there's a little nudge saying, have you forgotten me? Have you forgotten, that I'm here to work with you? Don't you want this dance? It feels very much like that to me. And we have such busy lives, and we've got all the chaos around us in the world. So now more than ever is the time to remember Great Spirit is there in whatever form, whether it's God, whether it's a religion, something that you believe in that is there flowing through you. Now's the time to really connect and do the prayers, as Dale said, to reconnect in whatever way you want to, whether you go out and sing with the wind, whether you go out and have a fire, whatever, whether, as Dale says, you talk to your ancestors, that is all Great Spirit waiting for you to step up and work, do your great work with Great Spirit and manifest what you need to manifest. It's actually so incredible. It's so difficult to find the words, isn't it?
It is.
If you were preparing for this show, how would you prepare to talk about Great Spirit? What book are you going to go to? What are you going to look at?
You can't.
You look at on the internet. The only way to do it is to, as we're all doing now, is to connect to your heart center, as Debbie said, to your truth. So how Great Spirit is for you. And for everybody, it's slightly different, like for you, Amy.
Yeah.
But there's no, you can't, and there's no right or wrong answer, is there? Either?
No.
Because it's just your personal relationship with Great Spirit is how you can express it. So everybody's right.
Everybody's.
It's sort of,
No, I was
Amy.
just saying, it's the comparison. Don't compare because her fire is bigger than your fire. Like, don't compare because
your ballast.
no fire. I said fire.
I thought you said ballast. Right,
Or your prayers are longer than their prayers.
Yeah.
Sometimes my prayers are 2 sentences, but don't beat yourself up about that piece. That was a big one for me because I would compare.
Well, when you say thank God, that's about the shortest prayer there is.
That's about.
Well, we turn around and think there's a huge relief, isn't it? Oh, thank God. And you think that is actually a prayer. Those 2 words
Yeah.
are a prayer.
Amen. Amen.
Yes, you're saying thank you.
Well,
Hallelujah.
well, no. As far as
And
preparing, I brought a book,
Oh, good.
not quite a book, but a page from a book that I really love here that speaks of Great Spirit. It's from Jamie Sams,
Mhm.
who is a wonderful teacher for a lot of people out there are very familiar with her work. Jamie Sams is a native teacher who has wonderful work out there. I highly recommend it. Andrew has spoken on this topic many times. Dancing the Dream is a fantastic, fantastic book. Way back there, I had heard Andrew mention it about really utilizing the book to really help people who were trying to get back into reading, who people who haven't been able to read for many years or finish a book for many years. And since then, I have recommended to countless clients, and it works people out there. So if you really want to get back into it, I suggest that. This one is Earth Medicine. And it speaks of Great Spirit here. So, if I may read just a few lines of that. Spirit breathes the aliveness into every flower and tree and fosters our connections to life's sacred mystery. The net that binds us together is the spirit we hold in kind, the abundant, unlimited expression of the Creator's breath divine. Humankind is always looking for ways to measure the soul, never really seeing the spirit that makes creation a whole. And it's a little longer than that, but I thought it was a wonderful take on the Great Spirit.
Beautiful.
That is beautiful.
beautiful.
I do love her. And once you start the book, you can't put it down. I remember. I
Oh,
remember that.
absolutely. Yes. Well, that's how it's designed. So I guess it's
Yeah,
a good thing.
yeah, yeah. It's a great book.
So there was an experience I had when I visited Great Spirit's room we'll call it that, and I went into Great Spirit's room, and I started speaking to the Great Spirit, and I was taking the piss because it was saying it was how saucy I was, and there was all sorts of comedy and stuff going on. And I was in the Great Spirit, and I saw it as an eye. I was in the eye of the Great Spirit, and I came back out, and I kept going backwards and forth, and I kept going into the waiting room. And as I went into the waiting room, Great Spirit was like, "You put yourself in the waiting room all the fucking time. You've got to stop doing it." I was like, "Shit, what do you mean?" It's like, "Yeah, you keep putting yourself in the waiting room." And this is what a lot of people do: is they put themselves in the waiting room all the time. They see someone who can connect to Great Spirit in a different way, and they form some sort of judgment or hierarchy. And to connect to Great Spirit's about letting go of the hierarchy of everything, letting go of the judgments of yourselves and others, and realizing everyone has a unique train journey, if you want to call it that way, to back to source, back to spirit, because everyone can speak to spirit. It's a form of heart knowing where you're communicating from a neutral point of view, from a heart central point of view. And the more you can express through saying prayer words from the heart awareness, the more spirit and the more information from different central suns can come through your knowing. And everyone has the ability to do this because we have other selves out in the universes and galaxies who work as orchestras of information about how they see spirit. So at all times, there's other versions of us trying to figure shit out, and there's us trying to figure shit out. And we can go to our team who are trying to figure shit out as a kind of like a circle, if you want to see it as that, and start realizing that all of those other selves are through your heart awareness. And the way to Great Spirit is through speaking from the heart. And one of the best things I could have ever done was taken Andrew off a pedestal. And I had to do that. And he said to me, "You've finally taken me off a pedestal." And that's what everyone has to do. As soon as you put someone on a pedestal, you've lost.
Mhm.
And you've lost awareness. You've lost how to have self-responsibility back to the great remembering. And Andrew says this time and time again. He doesn't want people to put anyone on pedestals that this guru's higher, this person's higher. Everyone can do it. It's just a matter of dedication, day-to-day effort. Like I've gone through a lot of trauma, a lot of shit, but I'm still here today doing what I'm doing. And I've gotten through the hardest times ever where I've not been able to speak at times through what I've gone through. Lost source connection, thought spirituality was shit. But I kept going and I kept going and I kept going. I kept making mistake after mistake after mistake until one day there was a part of me where, right, spirit is with me at all times. And it was only myself what put me out the waiting room. So the question and something to ponder on out there, guys, is What's putting you out the waiting room? Why are you waiting in the waiting room so much? Because the way to speak and the way to understand spirit is through heart words. Debbie, do you want to come in here and talk about speaking from the heart?
Right. Yeah, and like I just have to, I really agree with you when you're saying that everybody has a different way of expressing, and Great Spirit shows itself in so many different forms and so many different ways, and there's no point in judging, saying one person's got as much much cleverer or got much more to say or knows more than the other, putting them up on a pedestal, because Great Spirit comes through different ways, and everybody is an expression of their own connection with spirit and their own experiences. And so it's wonderful that we can actually speak through the heart and connect with spirit. And I find that when I've gotten together with Soul Family and we've gone on some sacred journeys together, you can really feel everybody's having a different experience, even though they're doing the same thing, but everybody's experiencing Great Spirit differently through their heart. And it's because we're all on our own journey. And so we have our own experiences and our own level of wisdom or understanding. And so the great thing is coming all together like we do in this group and to express and share our own experiences of what Great Spirit is coming through us and what we're experiencing is great as a blessing to be able to share that with each other.
Outstanding. Hassan, Amy, do you want to add anything here?
Fantastic. Very well said.
Yeah.
I think for me, all of these things, and I think you all reflected it in different ways in the different expressions of Great Spirit. For anyone who has myself, I was, as you know, born in West Africa, where in my country, the population was 96% Muslim growing up, and about 2 or 3% Christian, and about 1% of everything else. So as you could tell, it was very different than the ways of living that I'm exposed to here in the different expressions of Great Spirit. So just seeing the similarities in the different expressions, but also understanding to have tolerance for people who have different views and express it in different ways. Because on the journey, we are going to be challenged to come across whether it be people from our own background or a new environment that we're in who have different views that don't quite align with sometimes just this neutral perspective that we want to keep. And although it is about making sure that we are claiming our truth, it is also about learning to be the ambassador and learning to be accepting of all truths and seeing how we can have common grounds, because there are lots of different things from different religions or backgrounds that you can find a common ground on rather than finding the things that separate us. And a lot of the times it's to just simple history or tradition, just to the culture. So yes, well said in all these things in the different expressions of Great Spirit.
I love the word ambassador, Hussein. That's a great word.
Thanks. Once again, in my culture, your culture is really so much part of your expression.
Oh, yeah.
The ambassadorial role is very important to the people. We are the lions. The people of Senegal are the lions. There are 3 different countries in Africa who are the lions. The Cameroonians are the indomitable lions, and the people of Morocco are the Atlas lions. But we are the lions of Teranga, which Teranga means hospitality. And it was a name that was given to us by the other nations. So in our cultures, we have, and I grew up next to Christians, and I myself went to 3 Catholic schools because they were just the greatest schools that were available to me, although I came from a different background. So we learned that in our culture early on to have that tolerance in that part of the world. I'm very grateful for that. But it prepares you for a world like this now that has so much charge and polarity, especially when you add the political dynamics that are in areas like the area that I live in here in the Washington, D.C. area. Between politics and religions, it's very easy to separate the people. And just that understanding that there's a common ground, I think, goes a long way in maintaining community.
That's it. And it's like one of those situations where you're at a family meal or you're around at the families at Christmas and someone brings up politics or someone brings up the Queen or someone brings up God. And all of a sudden you just like, I just sit back and watch. I'm like, right, I'm just go sit. I'm not going to get involved in this, and I'm just going to watch people. And all of a sudden, everyone will like, this is my view, that's my view. But instead of seeing everyone's view as a sacred view, and they have the right to view it that way, I don't have to change it in any way, shape, or form. The fighting starts, and this is just the clash of constant ancestors from decade to decade coming down, fighting against beliefs and battling. And it's how can we stop fucking battling and come together and break bread, bring the peacekeeper and peacemaker through.
Manage your ego, isn't
Great.
it? Because that
Yes,
ancestral
yes.
karma is using your ego as a tool to do that, isn't it? So that's where the self-mastery comes in. That's where, can you take the
Yes.
sacred neutral point of view? Can you sit back smiling or not, but not be triggered? Because as soon as you're triggered by something like that, then all your programs are on overdrive, and they're taking control, and the ego's in there, and then you've lost it really, because you're drawn in. But it is difficult not to be
It is.
sometimes,
It is.
because you can be prodded
Yep.
too, can't you? You can
Yeah.
be, well, don't you have a view? Or you just going to sit on the fence. Don't you have a view about this? And it's like, I have a view, but I'm not sure I'll be heard. I'm not sure anyone here can actually hear the vibration of the words I'll be saying, because it's not their truth. But in groups like this, coming together, which is really important, as somebody said just now, this is really what's needed now. Not just online, but in our own communities, coming together to, for want of a better term, just build the light. Yeah, coming together where we can all sit round the communal fire with our talking sticks like this.
Yeah.
And doing it in our own community. If everybody in their own community could do something similar to this and find like minds, people who want to walk the sacred neutral path. Maybe you call it something else, because we use particularly Andrew's language and the teachings that we've all had, and the native language. But maybe there's other ways we can put it that are more sort of people are more acceptable to some people, that sit round and find common ground, which is what the term Assange used just now. Really important to find the common ground between the religions and so on at this time, because we've got to anchor ourselves on earth. We've got to be really grounded at this time with all the chaos. And it's going to start off in communities, internet and actually on the ground communities.
Thank you, Laura. Great words. So we've got a question I'm going to pop up. So we have Twilight Soma 1. How do you feel comfortable going from the spirit vibration to being around general society is very different. I can take and feel vibrations. So, Amy, do you want to have a go at this?
It's almost as if I don't even at this point, it's for me, this is just what I do. I kind of do it. I use a lot of visuals, so I'll just put a spiritual cloak around me if I'm going out in society or having to enter, or mingle with people. And I use that as a sort of like both ways, a protection, and yet this is mine. You can't have, like this is for me. So that's very, like this, like you can't feed off of me. You can't, try to, needle me, nothing. I do that with my family, especially. So that's just basically how I do it. Yeah.
Thank you. So we're going to go around and ask everyone this question because it's a really good question. Debbie, what's your answer for this?
Yeah, I do very similar to what Amy was talking about. If I know that I'm going to go out into the general society, basically, I do have a cloak around myself. I do put energy around myself, but I also don't block my light. I make sure that people, when they come into my energy field, can be uplifted by it, and so I don't allow anything to bring my energy down, if I consciously anyway. there are certain situations that can happen that can actually really trigger you and bring you and can bring you down. That's why it's really good if you know you're going into, like, say, family, or out into other situations, other workshops and things like that. I always have a sense of myself and spirit around me, and just make sure that I can just stay balanced and grounded within my own energy field. And I'm just hoping that my field can also uplift other people who who step into my field. So I don't let anything really bring me down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That
Beautiful.
even, can I just add
Uh,
that even goes
you go
with
ahead.
like texts that you get from family that will try to trigger you, right? Like that again, be aware of that. Like your first instinct is, "Oh, I'm going to answer this," and then no, you just send back a neutral text that doesn't involve a back and forth kind of like, um, you know,
You can see it, can't you, Amy? When you look at them, when you scan a message, you can
oh,
see what some of like the ancestral karma shit
yes,
where they're trying to figure the fuck out you, get into
yes.
you to the actual regular conversation. You like have a little neutral scan. You're like, I'll just go past that fast, go past
Oh,
that. Let's look at
I
that.
know, and you know what? Can I just give you an example of one thing? I have 2 younger sisters. I have 8 brothers and sisters. So, the 2 younger sisters are, I don't know, 8 years younger than me, maybe. So, they're kind of close in age. Well, the youngest one sends me a text, right? Out of the blue, I'm like, what is this?" So, I sat with it, but do you know what I could see? I could see the other sister above her through that. It was like, "Aha, thank you for that text, because now I can see the other sister and how they play their game." And all I
Yeah.
sent back was, "Sending you lots of love." That's all I sent back. I'm not gonna get into it with you. So
Yes. You can see that when someone gets someone to send a message,
yes!
and you can see them through the message because of your psychic skill. You're like, hang on a minute, that's not you. That's them.
Yes! It was, that was a real, that was amazing for me to even see that, like, they're in cahoots, like, and it was like,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, I see it, I see it." So, yeah, so even having that protection of, like, I love how you said that, Debbie, about the light. Right, don't suppress your light, or, you know, just it's just like a little added protection.
Yeah, because constantly, and there's a lot of people that try to diminish your light,
Yep.
and you just can't allow that, and that's just through their own whatever they're going through, their own issues and their own anger, and sometimes it triggers them when they see somebody else being happy and balanced and everything, and they're trying to bring you back to their level. And they had the compassion and whatever, but I just don't allow them to bring me down with whatever they're going through. And it's probably just through years of experience. I mean, I never used to be, I used to get triggered very easily, early days. But I think just working with in the field that we're working in, it really brings that sense of balance, and you realize that you're there to hold the light and help people through their stuff. So that becomes easier and easier the more you do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Allowing the
Yeah.
information,
So,
whatever it is, just to flow around you and not to take it on. And we've just been through the season of Christmas,
Mhm.
and this conversation makes me think Christmas, family, and alcohol. What could possibly go wrong? I mean, that is that is the time when you've got to hold that sacred neutrality, and it's harder when it's your family. I mean, the question actually, I think, is going out generally into society, but it is much tougher when it's your family, because the heartstrings are pulled,
yeah.
because the
Yeah.
emotion lies just underneath the surface, because so much of the trauma we carry within ourselves is our family related, whether it's parents or your children, and then you're beating yourself up because, have you been a good parent? And you have to go back every time. You have to pull yourself back to the don't react or don't overreact. They always say create, not react, don't they? So to try and create a response rather than just falling back into a programmed response. And there's no better training ground than your family at Christmas.
I know.
There really isn't.
I'll tell you what training ground is this. It's like an army. It's like an SAS training ground.
If
or
you
shit.
can stay sacred neutral and hold that love in your heart, and mostly keep out of it. I've made the mistake of sort of going in sort of light worker style, trying to patch things up, and it's best not. I've learned it's best to take a step back and just hold the light, if you like. Just stand. It doesn't mean to say you don't have boundaries, but there's a way of dealing with boundaries as well. So I think if everyone's been through the family Christmas training grounds and family parties, then going into society is possibly a bit easier because you're not at close interaction unless they're right next to you. And you get a choice, don't you, who you're going to interact with as well when you're going out generally. So there's some places, I will say, Twilight Soma, that I won't go. I just don't go because I choose not to have to go to that level of ceremony and work to protect myself in certain situations. So, but generally, like going down the shops or shopping or where there's crowds of people. I mean, the other thing, we don't want to get too zealot about it, do we? Because we're here on Earth to be on Earth and to do our great work on Earth and to to be with people. And we've just got to think about maintaining that neutrality, and what you can actually see the triggers come in, can't you? You can see them approach you, those triggers, and you think like that program. And once you're aware, you're in control. It's in your unawareness. If you're not aware, it's going to catch you. It catch you unawares. So that's just part of the work, though, isn't it? I still get triggered.
It is.
It's part of the work.
Oh, yeah.
So just going back to this question as well. So at the end, you say, I kind of taste and feel vibration. So that's not a natural way to be living. So my perspective of this is one of the best things you can do is holding your own energy field, and like similar to what Debbie was saying, is bringing your light into your fingertips, your toes, and holding frequency. If you lower your frequency for someone, you're falling into ancestral karma straight away. Doesn't matter who they are, doesn't matter what relation they are to you. As soon as you lower your frequency for someone to match them, you've lost. And for me, it was all about seeing different things. Like some people would try and vampire my energy until I started claiming my actual body and saying, no, I am going into high frequency when I want to go into high frequency. And I saw this contrast of before, when a few people used to try and take my energy and I could feel it. But after I started actually evaluating and saying, no longer I'm lowering my frequency for anyone. Doesn't matter who the fuck you are. I'm not doing it. That was spirit telling me that you're engaging and bringing the full lightness of you in your body without going out there. So you don't have to be out there. You can be fully in your body. It's like, for me, it feels like I'm moving forward a little bit with my energy field, but it's to my skin, to my nose, to my feet, fingers, to my toes. But a lot of people get scared and they go out too far. But it's really weird how the parasympathetic can trick the shit out of you to thinking what's good, what's not bad, so on and so forth. So for me, it's all about how much potent creativity you can get in your body and how much you can get actually here now. And for me, creativity was the best form of expressing and bringing more of myself here. Playing the guitar, writing, music, singing, more notes. I can actually start claiming my soul to be more part of my body on a regular basis and start learning how to live in high frequency, and like being able to put go now, I heighten my frequency, then I'll lower it, then I'll heighten it loads, then I'll lower it. Everyone has the ability to do that, and that's something I highly recommend everyone, is to start heightening your frequency, start doing prayers, revocation, but like body work, start getting used to it, start getting the training gym weights of high frequency and start getting used to it. So in a daytime, I'm not saying be high frequency all the time, but I'm just saying you will need to be higher frequency around some people who are out there, because if you're not, they're going to come in and try and snatch you. And that's you saying, no, fuckers, I'm holding my power. I'm in my power in this lifetime, and I am not embroiling into your ancestral karmic bullshit when someone will try and feed off you, but they can't because you're claiming your sovereignty. It's such a hairball of understanding, and for me, I have my moments, I have my triggers. For me, it's escapism. That's my biggest problem. So I've had to set up a schedule where I'm doing hour to hour, 1 hour guitar, 1 hour writing, hours of work, going to the gym. For me, that helps me stop escaping and start focusing on this reality, because I have a tendency to go off out there and just go into myself, listen to music, and I'll be in the universe all day because that's what I like. And I'm like, that's wrong, because you have to learn to be a muggle. And I've created a guy called Muggle Steve who has helped me so fucking much round my ass in this reality more. So I've created a character called Muggle Steve. So there's me and there's Muggle Steve. And I'm like, right, what is Muggle Steve doing today? Going to watch the football, go for a beer down the pub. I'm going to go fishing. I'm going to go play tennis. Those things are so important to get the equal balance of being a muggle but being spiritual. Because one of the main things of spirituality is if you do it all the time, you're ungrounded. That's just the truth of it. If you're spiritual 24/7 hours a day, thinking about this and that, thinking about Archangel Michael's balls, all sorts of different things, you are ungrounded and you're moving away from the path of being a balanced spiritual person. And I have experienced this loads, and I have to slap my wrist when I'm being too spiritual. I'm thinking about shit all day, and I'm like, right, stop. And I have to literally stop and silence myself and say, right, I've got to enjoy life from a muggle way as well, because we are here to live the muggle life as well. The awakening is happening in this body. It's not happening out there. It's happening in this reality. So the more we start intermingling our muggleness combined with the balance of spirituality, it's, as we call it, living the muggle life daily.
My mother had a really great saying, and it always came back to me when I was going through stuff. And she always said, stop being so heavenly because you're no earthly good.
Ah,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Being out there, you're no earthly good. Then, yeah.
I was just thinking that, like, why are you here then if you always want to be out there?
Mm-hmm.
When you were talking, it's like,
Yes, beautiful.
why? Because you're here.
This reality is where it's at.
Yeah, this is where you
This
learn.
is where the action is.
Yeah, you learn and you grow and you make mistakes and you get up and you do.
Well, it's like those of you here who understand the celestial medium journey and the celestial medium of peace. It's all about actually being on Earth as a celestial medium and having 2 feet on the ground and bringing down that celestial wisdom, unpacking it, and then that's it. You're not off up there. You're actually here, downloading that wisdom that's needed now on Earth.
Yeah, so the word celestial might have gotten them tricked into thinking you go out.
Yes.
Yeah, so thanks for that.
Yeah, it's always important to unpack it and then return it. Unpack the wisdom. Andrew's always taught that. It's about your 2 feet on the ground now.
And I think that's what interests people in the beginning as well. That's what grabs their original interest. And then essentially the concepts that they have can be developed into all kinds of things. But essentially, and that's why the journey is so important, because and in my opinion, if you're experiencing that on the journey and it really becomes an important part of your journey, a lot of times I have found that reflecting on your red road history, on more of your previous generations or the previous 10 generations or 20 generations as much as we can, and the knowledge and the wisdom that you can gain from that really allows you to see the value back of this history here and the value of the lives that we live now, because we come from a lot of generations of lives, some very hard lives, and it really gives us a lot of appreciation for the lives that we have now. But yes, it might take a little bit of a journey to the stars to then come back and say, okay, well, this is so great to be here because all of the things that I could do or that I used to do out there or whatever concepts that I have, I could do them here now in just a different expression. So it's quite interesting.
Mm-hmm. That is. And I also think for me, like the celestial, I don't go out much because I do. And I do in my dreams. That's where I go out because that's where I get my little nuggets when I come back. And it's like, oh my gosh, like I'll get a song and I look at the words and it's like, oh, okay. I see what I'm supposed to be doing. I see the, little nugget in there. So that I think, I don't know if everybody doesn't dream though. So I don't know how you get Dale, maybe you know how to get people to dream because a lot of people can't do that or they don't do that.
Well, I think they don't remember. That's the thing. Because we all have a dreaming body that goes
So
out there and does its great work. It's just whether you remember your dreams.
how do you remember them? How can they? What's something that, like for me, before I go to bed, I'll say something that will, help me to remember my dream. So maybe it's just, something like that.
Yeah, it is. Because remember, as you're going to sleep, you're in that hypnagogic state, as
Yeah.
David's always taught us, which
Yeah.
is the time people have something that they listen to for revising for exams and stuff like that, isn't it? So you
Mhm.
could have a pre-recorded something that reminds you to remember your dreams. I've got a notebook on the bed, and if I'm not too tired, when I've had the dream and I'm slightly awake, I might just scribble something, and in the morning try and make sense of it.
Yep.
But for me, it depends how relaxed I am. When I'm in a deep state of relaxation, remembering my dreams I can and write
Yeah.
them out in the morning. But if I'm not, if the programs come in straight away, so I can wake up, especially with working more now, it's sort of the programs come in. What have I got to do today? And so it's getting to that more deeper relaxation. Well, Dale knows me because I can talk work as soon as I'm up in the morning.
And I'm like this. I wake up and I'm just nodding my head as soon as she's talking.
Yes,
and
there's the hand.
Adri had this like, Laura, I've had my
I haven't had my
morning
coffee.
coffee. No. And I sat down. No, I've just come out of bed. I'm there waking up all tired, and Laura's talking about work. I'm like, I've just got up out of a dream. Like,
I know.
Yeah. So if you have that do brain like me, you might not be able to remember your dreams so much because you better if you hold yourself in that hypnagogic state as you're waking up, isn't it? And then, but what gets me is I think, I don't need to write that down. Either I'll remember it or it's not that important, right? But
Yeah.
you're trying to make an assessment when you're still like, not quite with it, if you like. So then later I think I should have written that dream down. It might have a message in there for me.
And they're
Yes.
so complex too. The dreams
Oh,
are like
yes.
they're so complex that I can only record or write a
Yeah.
certain one or two sentences, but I get the feeling of it, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I think the feeling of
Absolutely.
it is really important because that is
Yeah.
the essence of the message there.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, absolutely.
it's like how far.
Go ahead, Bill.
So
go
go
ahead.
ahead. You go ahead, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the essence of the message, and it's the really establishing a practice or the awareness to connect the two realities and to really tell this reality that yes, I'm understanding that there's a message coming from beyond, and that is connected to something greater that I'm able to understand. And the writing it down is so crucial, and especially with the consistency of that. I myself, I'm a big proponent of that. I recommend it to all my people. I have many, many years of dream journey now. And there are times, and I've shared this example before, where I will go back and look at a dream. And if I happen to have the dates the year before, or 2 years before, or 3 years before, I could see the continuity of the message throughout the same dates on 3 different years. And it would give me a wow self-enlightenment moment that is invaluable. That is just tenfold. So writing down the dreams obviously is key here, and it's establishing that system. But at times, obviously, as we talked about before, it is all about how you go to sleep. Not all about, but it's as much about how you go to sleep as how you wake up. So a lot of bad habits that we have in society now, with going to sleep with the TV on and some of these things that really don't allow a clear mind to remember those dreams in the morning. And also a little trick for certain people out there on the journey. I had learned it from Andrew years ago, and I have recommended it many, many times. For people who are looking to just see how they could get those dreams more consistently out of them if they already are trying. Sometimes the field can be a little bit blocked. Using a little bit of salt that you could put in a Ziploc bag with sage and a crystal and a little piece of something silver for the alchemy of that. Either put it under the pillow or see how you can have it around the fields. Sometimes that could just be enough to help you clear that field there and allow the dreams to come through a little bit more. Obviously, coupled with writing down the dreams, I've had experiences where someone could not remember the dreams and remembered up to 8 dreams a night within a week.
Oh, wow.
There's another
I have,
aspect to it as well, like which I've done in the past. If I have something that I really want an answer for, and I just can't figure out, what it is. Before I go to sleep, I'll ask my higher self, or can you please work this problem out for me, so that in dream time, and I usually wake up with the answer. So I find that sometimes setting that intention before you go to sleep, like you say, in that state, because you're getting into that relaxed alpha state, and so if you have a burning question of something in regards to your own personal wanting to know something personally, or you have some sort of problem coming that you're facing, and you just don't know which way to turn, you can set that into dream time and ask your higher self to bring that answer. And you go to sleep. When you wake up, it's like, oh, of course, this is what I should do, and this is how I can work this out. Or, you can use dream time for a lot of different things, different experiences as well.
oh yeah, and don't dismiss
Beautiful.
what you get, because I've
Yes.
dismissed stuff, and also sometimes your team like to see how astute you are, or whether you're paying attention, or how much you're remembering from your dreams as well. So they can be quite cryptic sometimes. So just write down everything, because I've had things where they've just given me images to see whether I'm paying attention. And I remember I was doing Ancestry, and all your names on Ancestry.com coming in a little box, and they showed me at night. I didn't actually ask a question, but I think it was concerning whether I was working on my psychic abilities. And they showed me a box, and in the box, instead of a name, was an image with the Playboy bunny. And 2 days later, I was walking through a shop, and the headlines on the newspaper was Hugh Hefner had just died. Well, for those of you who remember, Hugh
Oh,
Hefner was the king of the Playboy bunny empire. So I said to Andrew, why do I need to know this? He said, you don't, but what they're doing is seeing how much attention you're paying in your dreams.
that's great.
Related to the synchronicities in the outside world. He says basically they're just having fun with you. So
That's
I do try, and anything at all. If I want a link on Ancestry, if I'm missing a link and I need a name, then I will ask before. I just ask before bed, or in prayer time, or in ceremony, but often just before bed. Yeah, if something can come to me, it doesn't always come that night, but sometimes they randomly pop it in. Well, really, I'm going out and collecting it. I suppose my dreaming body's going out there and collecting it, and some most beautiful messages. I'm sure we all get. I was told the colour of peace on earth is sapphire blue. I mean, what a lovely message to get. We get some awesome messages that I think they have to repeat them quite a lot with me sometimes, but that's fine. It's fun too.
So there's something to add as well with dreaming. Is a very good tool is to start going out your dreaming body and seeing what's there. From many sessions I've done over the years of hundreds and hundreds of sessions, as I scan someone, I'll always look out into the dreaming field of where they go out and dream through their dreaming strands. And what usually happens is people are disconnected from the rainbow bridge. And this is one of the best ways you can start getting the natural dreaming body back, is start going through your dreaming stand and seeing what's there through your spiritual eye. It may be family suppressing you. It may be an ancestor or a negative spirit suppressing you from connecting to the rainbow bridge. So one of the best things I do is I start going through my dreaming strands and connecting rainbow roads. connecting to the dreaming mind of the earth, and there'll be like my mum there and her drama trying to stop me from going into there. So I'll have to start literally pushing her out the way, pushing a few things out the way. And so before, I don't do this every night, but every few weeks I'll check what's in my dreaming field and what's disconnecting me from dreaming in the Rainbow Bridge. Because when you want to have those unique dream experiences, you want to be dreaming the Aurora Borealis of our ancestors. And there'll be loads of times where there'll be false fake dream worlds where you'll wake up in a dream, and this has happened to me. I'm like, this isn't a fucking real dream world. And all of a sudden I'll just throw loads of light out my auric field, and the dream world will go, and then I'll start going into the aurora or some sort of actual natural dreaming space. So it's about evaluating our own inner programs. And if we go to sleep pissed off, or we go to sleep thinking about some relative we had an argument with, 9 times out of 10 we're going to be in a space where we're blocked in a dream world. So it's all about creativity, connecting to the whirling rainbow, connecting to the celestial medium of us, and start bringing prayer energy through. And smiling and having fun is one of the best ways to do it. If you're not smiling before you go to bed, there's something what you need to change in your own reality. Smile now, see if you can smile, or if you've got a stick up your ass. If you've got a big stick up your ass, you're more than likely not going to be able to dream on the Rainbow Bridge tonight. So it's how can you bring that compass, set it to the north, and start dreaming with your ancestors. And there'll be loads of different vivid experiences we all have which we forget, because the energy is that high. We can't come and bring it into this, micro world. So it's you're in that macro scale of the universe, and you're going through all that dream recognition, recall, and so on. But bringing it into the macro is hard. Like, I've had some crazy dreams where you forget them in seconds. You're like, fuck, like, I want to remember that. That was so good. And it's just falling away from me bit by bit.
Yes. So true.
Yes. Anybody else want to add to that? Anything else? I love speaking of
There's
dreams.
a question in the chat. Is it a real dream world if it's bright? Sorry, my glasses are broken. So is it a real dream world if it's bright? Aren't they all real dream worlds, Dale? Aren't they? They're created by us, aren't they?
They are. Yeah,
Some of them
they
are
are
false
all
light.
dream worlds, but a lot of them are false light system of domination dream worlds set up where your ancestral karmic journey has overtaken your natural co-creative journey, and you begin to start ancestrally dreaming with these negative ancestral relations who are suppressed or unhappy, addicted, and so on. Like, I've had moments in my time where I've been to Aurora Borealises, which were false ones, where I've been walking around for hours, and I remember looking at all these ancestors' faces. I'm like, why are you guys so fucking sad? And I was like, hang on a minute, hey up. I was like, but after literally about 40 minutes in this dream of walking around, I was like, I know I'm in a dream and I'm not going to react now because I want to stay in this dream. So I was like, I was trying my fucking hardest to stay in that dreaming state, which is hard. So I was walking around, I was like, why are all these ancestors so upset? And I was in a dreaming world on another timeline in California. So as I woke up from the ancestral homeworld, I was walking down so it was a river. And I was walking down, I could see all these like demon faces onto the other side just watching me. I remember walking down crying and going to my knees, and it was another lifetime and another timeline. But the ancestral dream world there wasn't the original or the organic, natural Aurora Borealis dream world. I've had dreams where I've been in the Aurora Borealis. A really funny one to share was I was walking and I went to a shop in the Aurora Borealis, and I was there about to get something from a shop. I grabbed something and I was like looking for fucking money. I started putting my money out and they went, we don't do money here. Money doesn't exist here. It's just an exchange for thank you. And this is a really funny thing. So as I walked out the shop, I recognized a few people as I looked around, and there was a family of bears with clothes on and with a backpack going on holiday, and they were going down this like elevator. They had all these backpacks on, like bear humans just walking. I'm like, ah. So there is, going back to that original question, there's so many layers to it, and it's all about how much dedication and how much effort you're going to put into love. to self-love, self-healing, and so on.
Yeah. Sorry.
Go on. No, go on, Debbie.
So some of
Go
the
ahead.
experiences that I've had also, before just going to sleep and everything, I, at one point there I was like a real zealot for information and spirituality and whatever. And so I kept telling, before I went to sleep, I was like, I want to go to night school. I want to learn more. I want to get that higher information and everything. And I'd wake up exhausted. And so because I'd go to all these, I'd be going through like different initiations, like I'm going through like a, what would you call it? It's like it's almost like a puzzle, like you're going through a labyrinth. Mm-hmm. And I'm trying to find my way through the labyrinth to get to the higher road, like the higher spiritual. And going through this labyrinth, my focus was, I've got to get to the void. And I'm getting lost in all these tunnels and stuff. So I woke up and I went, I don't know if I'm going to say that to myself before I go to sleep anymore, because I'm putting myself through all these heavy initiations in dream time. Yeah.
Wow.
But then again, you'll have a dream and it's so profound. That's where the journal comes in really great. And trying to remember all the great information and that's coming through. So there's so many different experiences in dream time. It's just, I love it. It's just so amazing.
I do.
Yeah.
I love it too.
Yeah, and it kind of.
Does anybody remember dreams from being a kid? Some big dreams you had when you were younger, which have stayed with you without even journaling them? Has anybody got any?
Yeah, I've got.
You don't have to share them, but yeah.
Yeah,
go ahead.
no, it's not very exciting. It was just a road that went up, and it's just like my life. I think it just showed this road. And I was on my tricycle because I was 3. So I was still on a little tricycle, and that's how I remember it. And it was just neutral. So I'm really not terribly sure what it means. Maybe it was just showing my life. But dream interpretation is interesting because Twilight Soma said they had a monster come to them in a mailman suit. So I wonder if that is something being projected at them, something that's coming at them in the mail. I don't know. It's interesting.
Sometimes it can be sometimes it can be a fear disguised in a way that you can accept a mailman coming to you. But if it was a monster, if it's a real bad monster coming at you, you'd wake up because it's just like, So you might be going, it'd be good to contemplate, well, okay, this monster that's inside a mailman what's the fear or what's the message? There's a message that's coming to you.
Yes.
And it might be a fearful one or something, but, it's good to go into meditation or go inner and do that inner work.
Yeah, it's what it means to them, isn't it? Rather than
it means something different to everybody.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
sorry, Dale, you were doing dreams from childhood. Go on. Anyone else got one?
Yeah, good. Yeah, anyone else? Hassan, you had some words there.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you mentioned that, Debbie, because the combination of all these things because journaling that and trying to interpret that in one way is helpful if you're combining with the meditation, as you said, especially within a short amount of time. Usually you start to get some answers there. But for me as a kid, yes, some dreams as a kid, but also more so of the cycle of completion. Early on, Amy, you ask, well, early on in your life, how do you know? And it's the same cycle that keeps giving with your dreaming cycle here. To me, I have some ancestors that I work with in dream time now and that I encounter that I used to encounter in spiritual experiences when I was a kid. And back then, it was definitely quite a surprise to hear all this noise and to see all these things. That being said, I really understand the cycle of it now because, to go back to your question, Amy, it's the same person, it's the same heart all throughout space and time. So how do we know what we know? Well, we're just always interconnected to that truth. So some dreams as a kid can come out as revelations or some experiences that you've had as a kid. All of that is just part of the beautiful cycle once you start paying attention to it.
Yeah.
That's so true.
Thank you. Yeah. I was just thinking, Dale, this is funny. I was just thinking when you said that, I'm like, okay, there were 11 people in our house. So that probably all those dreams got all intertwined with each other.
Yes. Yeah.
And maybe I'm not supposed to remember, because maybe it wasn't my dream,
Mm.
you know?
Anybody else remember any childhood dreams they want to share? Or it doesn't have to be childhood, it can be just a significant dream.
I had a really significant one, and it's probably about a good 20 years or so ago now. And and it just sort of come out of nowhere, really, but it was very, very profound for me. And in my dream, I was asking spirit because all I could see was like nature. I could just see trees and sky and whatever. And so I was asking spirit, I really want to experience being the wind. And next minute, it was really weird. I felt like I had this massive orgasm. And next minute, I'm flying through trees as the wind and flying through leaves and branches and everything. And it's like, wow, this is just amazing.
That's beautiful. Flying dreams are great, aren't they? The flying dreams you have.
Mm.
They're amazing.
Yeah, just being the wind, so you're nothing, just like one big eye, really,
Yeah, fabulous. It makes you wonder, like, what our dreaming body gets up to. I mean, I can think, just ones I can remember, I've been all over the place in political arenas. I've been sorting out a sty in Trump's eye. He had a sty that I was attending to. And I sat next to Bill Gates and certain political figures here. I actually challenged somebody called Tony Blair years ago. I was I don't know, throwing energy at him. And he was laughing because it was bouncing off, and he opened up this like iron chest, and he just had a grid there that just bounced everything off. And just so many, you do wonder what sort of, we're here to do our great work on Earth, but we're like, the dream time is also Earth, isn't it? It's Earth's dream time. So we're all connected. So sometimes I bet we do wake up quite tired,
Yeah.
So I don't really get involved in politics, but I'm thinking my dreaming body does.
This dream I had was actually, it felt real. Do you ever have those dreams that are like, this is real? Like, this is
Yeah.
Amy, do you mean like more real than real?
more real than real.
That's what I get.
Yes.
Yes.
More.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I woke up sobbing. I'm crying. I couldn't even, like, I just let it out. I'm shaking, that crying thing. But when I go back, when I remembered it, it's like, I was actually having a conversation with my brother here, the brother that's here with me on Earth. And I don't know if we what would be the word? Figured out something together or had karma together, but I was sobbing. Like, that was real. Yeah, it's like one of those cries that just felt so good. Whatever we talked about, I have no idea, but it was resolved.
Wow. I had a similar experience, Amy, in Orkney when we were in Scotland. I had a dream that my granddad passed away, and I was in a car with my dad and my friend called Andrew Leonard, and it was so real. I woke up crying, and I came down for breakfast, and I couldn't look at anyone because I was bursting out crying, and I was like, it was like he died, and I was like, he's dead. And as I was eating my breakfast, I was like, I have to go up to my room for a bit and gather myself because I've just found out my granddad's passed away. And then I was like, no, it's not real. That was a dream. And I was like, but it is real. Like, I feel like it's happened. And that was like, holy shit. It's like, what the fuck?
Oh my God, it is so. And one dream, I woke up with vertigo. The room was spinning. It was scary. I mean, it was like, it was bad. It was bad vertigo. Like, oh my gosh.
I had a dream where, in which it wasn't a pleasant one, but I dreamt I had this huge, big, like a mole, but like a birthmark mole type of thing. But it was like a growth on one side of my cheek. my whole cheek, and it was so real that when I woke up, I ran to the mirror to have a look. Like, what? Thank God, it's just a dream.
Yes. Do you ever have dreams of having your hair cut? Like, mine was really short and black and spiky, and I was crying. You wake up and you're like, phew. That's interesting. Tina's had, hi Tina, she's had Trump dreams too. And yeah, I remember I've had long conversations with him and I wish I could remember them. Like Amy was saying, you can resolve so much, can't you, in these conversations, and you might just remember a little bit of it, but not really. But you know that in dream time, your dreaming body has got resolution for a relationship, an earthly relationship.
Yes,
I mean,
and maybe you're on Trump's cabinet. Who knows? In the other world,
the angelic cabinet, the galactic cabinet,
galactic cabinet of Trump.
Yeah, who knows what we only get glimpses, don't we, of what we do in our dream time. Do you know,
and at times those reoccurring dreams, especially the reoccurring dreams, they could really be a sign of really something that is going on that's got obviously a deeper meaning. I personally had a reoccurring dream in my early 20s for many, many years. And I would dream that I was getting shot. And I wouldn't necessarily die, but I would live to that. And I would just, contemplate those moments there. And it would go on and go on. And I would have that dreams many times over a few periods of time. And later on in my life, when reflecting now with the perspective that I have now, but later on, I realized that I was not honoring my truth. I was not really living in a specific way that really was allowing me to get the essence of me, just based on some of the previous views that I have and all the things that we go through, overcoming some of the views that are imprinted on you when you're growing up and society around you and all these things. But that was really personal to me because it was really my heart saying, hey, you got to be true here. When are we going to just resonate more in a true frequency? And that really stayed with me for a very long time. So the dreams can be all kinds of things, but the reoccurring ones, in my opinion, are really the ones that you have to pay attention to.
Yes, absolutely. Fascinating subject.
Shock dream was, I think I've spoken about on the show before, but was my experience when Jimi Hendrix came into my dream. That, like, out of all my dreams, that has been the most realist thing I've ever felt in my life. And it was how I heard Voodoo Child play to me, even better than his live performances. Like, it was the same type of thing. But it was even better. Like, so it was a time I had a dream first. I was in a restaurant, and I remember, because I worked in a restaurant, and I remember these customers weren't happy with their order. And I remember turning around, I went, I fucking hate this guy. and I walked into the back, and as soon as I walked in the back, I opened the door. And as I opened the door, I ended up on this rainbow road. And it was like this rainbow dream space, but it was so high frequency. And I remember being in it and waking up and going, all I was going was, oh my God, what the fuck's going on? I was saying those words and I was like, oh my God, what's going on? All of a sudden I saw Jimi Hendrix in the distance walking down with his guitar, and he started playing Voodoo Child to me, all the songs so perfectly through my brain, and it was louder than you could ever hear loud noise. And he was playing it into my soul, and he came, and I saw him walking the rainbow road, getting closer and closer to me. And I was on the floor, and he picked me up, and he grabbed me, and he gave me a big hug, and he said, it was like he was saying, it's time to walk the rainbow. Then as he picked me up and got up, and I remember feeling him, gave him a hug. He then continued down. I just saw him going down, playing it into the distance of the rainbow road. And I remember waking up going, oh my God. And I was like, I was looking around, I was like, have I lost the plot? What's going on? And straight after this was, I was like, Spirit told me, right, put YouTube in and type in Voodoo Child on YouTube. No, sorry, type in Jimi Hendrix on YouTube. So I went over to YouTube, typed in Jimi Hendrix. The first video of all the videos of Jimi Hendrix on YouTube, I clicked on the first one, and it was Voodoo Child live in Maui. And so I was going, and I was watching it, and Spirit was like, keep watching. So I watched for like 2.5 minutes, and then I saw myself time traveling in the crowd, and I could see myself dancing to Voodoo Child. And so I saw another me, a time traveler me in the crowd dancing. You can see it. You can see my beard. You can see me like scratching my beard. And
same yellow t-shirt.
And that was same yellow t-shirt I had on. And
it is.
So I was like, And so I just thought I'd have to share because that was a dream. I'm even going to get a tattoo one day saying Voodoo Child, because that dream reminding me of, and this is for everyone else out there, continuing on and walking the rainbow road. No matter what you're doing, is get yourself up and continue to walk towards the rainbow dream. Doesn't matter who you are, you've got to continue. And that's what he was showing me. It's time to walk the rainbow, and it's time to be the peacekeeper and peacemaker, because we are walking into a new world. And that is the new world coming forth, the sixth world, seventh world of peace. The Native Americans have talked about it throughout generations, the end of the Mayan calendar. Change is happening. It might not happen the way we see it, but change is coming. And it's about us being now responsible and talking. Like, these shows mean the world to me, like having guests on like all you guys. I want to have a variety of guests and people because I like listening to people's journeys and stories, because it's so important. Passing the talking stick on to the next generation. That's what we're here to do, by showing our way, showing our light, showing our truth of who we are. So has anybody got any last words before we close the show? Just want to say thank you, everyone. It's been really, really fun.
Yeah.
No, I thought they were beautiful last words that you've just spoken. Actually,
Yeah,
Dale.
I mean,
I do too.
I thought they, yeah, perfect.
And I have to tell Samantha. She says she should remember a dream of my students I shared. Oh, Samantha, I don't remember it. I'll have to look it up. Hopefully, I wrote it down.
Yeah, hopefully.
Or you might have to tell it to me again.
Yeah, they're wonderfully said there. And Jimmy, I think, is a popular, not a popular one, but is a big one. There's a lot of celestial energies obviously attached to that energy and coming to all this frequency there, especially for high frequency beings like you. But it seems I have come across that theme with other people as well. So Jimmy's a big time dream worker out there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of people here in the chat look like they connect with him too.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Beautiful. So we'll go around. Debbie, how can people get a hold of you for past life regression sessions?
They can contact me. I think I texted you the information too, Dale, on the messenger. They can get me on my website. It's bluerealmhypnosis.net. That'd probably be the best way to get to me. Or my
I'll type this into the chat as well, and I'll add it to the description. So Debbie does past life regression. I've had some sessions with her, and she is incredible. So if you'd like to learn about your past life, and I really highly recommend having a session with Debbie. I really do.
Thank you, Dale. And the great thing about doing past life regressions is also we carry through a whole lot of unfinished business into this lifetime, and that helps to heal that and release that. So that was that's my main focus.
So I've just put it into the chat as well. So Debbie's link's in there as well. Amy, what about yourself?
So you can reach me at amy@universalcitizentv.com, and you can join the UCM community at community.universalcitizentv.com. That's where we have our own social platform, and David is actually going to be having webinars. We're going to have webinars. We're going to have a webinar. Let me just finish that thought. A NutriPro webinar, which is one of his apps that he's going to be releasing, that is like a high-tech nutritional app that can be used for personal use. Practitioners and medical community can use it. And if you come to the webinar, you get free access to this app. So you wouldn't have to pay for it. And I think Dale put the link into the chat so that you can register there, or come into the community and you can register through there, through the events section. Yeah.
Can you put it into the chat, Amy? The link?
I did.
Oh, you have done. Thank you. So I'll do that.
Yeah.
A couple of months. So.
Yeah. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Amy. Miss Mass.
It's lovely connecting with you all.
Yeah, you too, Debbie.
So first of all, apologies if you're wondering why I keep picking these up. I've lost my proper glasses, and the only way I can see anything is to keep doing this. So, okay, so you can have a session with me if you'd like to elevate your Good Red Road journey. at Laura2feathers with the number 2 at gmail.com. Dale and I are also running the Pain Management Clinic in the south of England. We actually have some really good accommodation, good value accommodation. It's beautiful accommodation nearby, near the clinic. So we can do a form of combined if anybody would like to visit us. We had a lady from Ireland a month or so ago come over for a couple of days. So we can still do a form of combined healing as we were doing before. But yeah, it's exciting. And just contact me on Laura2feathers at gmail.com if you're interested at all in doing some sessions back to back with us at the Pain Management Clinic. Thank you. It's been a great show, by the way, guys. And thank you for everybody in the chat. It's really, really lovely to be back interacting with you all. And we pass the mantle of responsibility to you all now at this time of chaos and all this, everything that's going on in the world, to be grounded and find your joy.
Yeah. And I say,
Beautiful.
what about
Hussein?
Yes, wonderful show. Many thanks to you guys. Fantastic perspectives here. Many, many thanks for sharing all of that. So you can find me at myspiritualconsultant.com. I'm also on Facebook and Instagram at My Spiritual Consultants for classes, healings, and all kinds of good stuff, retreats. Check it out.
what classes do you have?
So I have a couple programs coming up here. The first one is a program that's really designed to get people started on their spiritual journey and learning a bunch of spiritual tools and spiritual basics, as I call them, but also integrate some parts that could really help them go a long way. And then the second program is for people who are probably a little bit more advanced in their journey but want to develop their shamanic tools. And you'll focus a little bit more on ceremonies and rituals and different understandings and the passing of the seasons and connecting with ancestors and things like that.
Oh, awesome.
Beautiful. And if anybody would like a session with myself, what I'm going to do is just quickly change this. So my website is undergoing a change. So I'll be changing from Symmetry of Health at some point to the Dreaming Lodge. So I'm going to put my email. If anybody would like a Dreaming Lodge reading with myself, I'll just put it up here. So just email daletobins@icloud.com. So now I am changing a little bit of what I'm doing. So I'm offering Dreaming Lodge sessions on a one-to-one basis. I have almost finished the writing. It's probably going to be another month to actually have the Bear Lodge teachings come out, which is going to be broken down into various sections about the Dreaming Lodge, the vision of Trinity, the founder ancestors, and all of these different topics, which I'm really excited to share with you. It's been taking me a long time to do the writing. So I'm having to slow down, as Andrew said, and continue doing more information because, like me, I try to get things out fast. So I'm going to put a bit more time into that as well over the next few weeks. So if anybody would like a session privately, what I do is I can tap into your internal inner lodges and start to understand the difference in separation and connection with each individual client. Because as someone comes to see me, I can straight away tell whether some of their actions and choice points, whether what they're making is internally connecting to their own great spirit, their own fire of the heart hub of the Dreaming Lodge. So I can take you on a journey to see all of these different doorways and personalities we have chosen to create out of trauma, sadness, depression, so on and so forth. I also start reading your ancestral lineage and start seeing some of the debt which is created and placed upon you. So I'll be able to help you, guide you into setting an ancestral course where you can start balancing some of the ancestral energies which are ancient or some stuff you've had going on in your life. So it's something very special and meaningful for me, the Dreaming Lodge. I've spent a lot of time learning how to do the reading and how to do the sessions and so on. So I'm really excited to share it. So if you'd like a session, drop us an email. And I want to say thank you, guys. What a show. I feel really inspired. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everybody. Love you.